My name is Adiraket Pedersen. I am a psychiatrist at Northwestern University's Feinberg School of Medicine. In our society today, we have become more open to talking about mental health. However, stigma remains a significant barrier to people engaging in care, particularly in the Black community. We have gathered a group of Black psychiatrists and psychologists to address the relationship between mental illness, stigma, and the Black community. We hope that you find this presentation informative.
Mental illness is a condition that can impact your thinking, it can impact your mood or your emotions, and it can impact your behavior.
It's more than just the normal blues, ups and downs, or anxiety. We need those emotions to function effectively in the world. But this is symptoms that are bothersome to people and affect their functioning.
It can impact your ability to perform at school or work, your ability to have healthy, productive relationships with friends or family, or it can also impact your ability to just get out of bed every day and be able to take care of yourself.
Stigma, I think more generally means when we have negative beliefs about something, right? And so mental illness stigma is when we have negative beliefs about either ourselves or someone else because of an illness that they have.
It can include shame around one feeling the way that they feel. It can place blame on the person that's experiencing mental illness. It can interfere with one thinking that they need treatment or thinking that treatment will be effective for them.
Among Black folks, we have had a hard time, I think, in terms of the structural things that we've had to deal with in life. So the idea that there's something going on inside of you and the problem might be something to do with you, it complicates things.
I think what we see in the Black community with stigma and mental illness is the shaming of it. To have a mental illness means that you're weak or you're failing in some way, like you can do better, you're not trying hard enough.
We certainly know that individuals in the Black community are less likely to seek help for a mental health problem. And that can be for a lot of different reasons. Certainly, people are often worried about being discriminated against more than perhaps is their life experience. Also, if we're looking at psychologists like myself, there are very few psychologists who are Black. I think I read a statistic earlier today where 4% of psychologists are Black. And so it can be really hard to seek help when you don't see anyone who looks like you.
The stigma really comes in because then individuals don't feel safe admitting what they're going through or getting the treatment that's necessary. Therapy is even hard for many people to take on, but it even gets worse when it comes to thinking about medication. So many times the idea is to focus on your spirituality or the community as a support rather than to get the medical care that's necessary.
Well, in a lot of ways, religion can be certainly protective, right? And so a lot of times people find that their faith helps them get through the things that they're struggling with. Also, religious leaders can be a source of support and can help people find other ways to cope that can be really useful.
We've had studies that show that religious people are generally more adjusted than people that don't have that religious background. And a lot of that may have to do with the fact that they're part of a community.
I think the challenge has become that for some folks, they see religion or the church as being in conflict with mental health treatment. So some individuals might believe that mental health conditions should only be treated in the church or through faith and should in turn not be treated by a mental health specialist.
Often I've seen pastors say, you can pray about it. And I always challenge that because I'm like, well, if we can pray about mental illness, then why don't we pray when we have a heart attack or break a leg or have cancer? I mean, when we have those illnesses, we think, well, yeah, we're praying, but we're praying that God helps us get to the right treatment and the right provider to help us get through and that we recover from this illness. Whereas with mental illness, we're just praying it away and that we can be strong enough.
For me as a professional, I think that for those whose faith and spirituality is important to them, that both the church and spirituality as well as specialist mental health providers can work together to help individuals be well emotionally and spiritually. I think that you can think about mental illness to reduce stigma by, one, understanding how common mental illness is. Almost 50% of people in the United States will experience a mental health condition at some point in their lifetime.
I think it's important that we start to look at mental illness and medical illness one and the same, that this is a big aspect of just neurology, that there's something going on with a person's brain that needs to be supported, and that can be done through medication or through therapies, just like if you had physical therapy with an injury.
Encouraging one another to talk about it and to deal with the realities of it so that people aren't carrying these secrets but also aren't suffering in silence.
I think for a lot of individuals, particularly in the Black community, suffering can become a place of normalcy. And people start to kind of figure out how to just get by feeling unwell. And mental health treatment really offers a possibility of being lifted from some of those burdens, lifted from feeling down or depressed and anxious, and experiencing more joy and experiencing more wellness than folks may not even realize is even possible.